Okay guys, so we're going to talk about social sciences today. So let's just think about that word for a minute. When you think about what you do in science class, you do a lot of observation and scientific method. All of these things are involved in the study of things. Social, that root word social, that means having to do with people. Like you think about your social group, social circles. So what we're talking about today is really the study of people. So my degree, I majored in history, but my actual teaching certificate is history and social sciences. And I actually had to take a lot of other classes other than history in order to get my degree, because to study history, you actually have to have an understanding of several things. So social sciences particularly is a branch of science that looks at how we as humans function, how we interact with other people of society, how we form groups, how we interact with the environment, how we form government, all those things. So our first term is going to be anthropology. So whenever you see ology, we're looking at study, and then anthro, we're talking about human. So a lot of these words are rooted in Greek or Latin, and so anthro actually is the word for human. So basically it's a study of humans, okay? So when you think about anthropology, I want you to focus on the word that it's the science of man, okay? So how man has developed physically and socially and culturally. So there's kind of two branches of anthropology. There's the actual ones who study the evolution or development of man. My favorite part of anthropology is cultural anthropology, which is more interested in the social and cultural aspects of man. My anthropology professor in college, he actually went and lived among a tribe in Africa for a couple of months to help better understand those groups of people. Today there's a lot of interaction between groups of people, but there still are tribes in the world that live independently. When I was in my anthropology class, we actually studied the Inuits, or what we often call the Eskimos, and like what was unique and different about their culture, how that they had evolved and dealt with the environment around them, like how they used every part of the walrus, their homes made out of ice, kind of different things like that. We also studied a group of people who lived, actually we studied the Vikings, that's an interesting one, and like how they developed and did things like they as well. The other group I was seeing about, I can't remember their name, they're in South America, they're the people who do the shrunken heads. It was a very interesting class. We learned a lot of different interesting things. So another class I took was archaeology, and then actually my, third or fourth year of teaching, I did a summer program with the Virginia Historical Society, and that's actually a photo of me there to the right, to the left, with the blue shirt, digging in the dirt there. I'm actually at James Madison's boyhood home called Mount Pleasant, and we were doing an archaeology dig to see what we can learn more about James Madison's boyhood, his home, and everything they grew up. Remember, James Madison is our fourth president. So archaeology, it's really the study of ancient. So arch is ancient, so it's the study of ancient stuff. It's really the study of human life and their activities, what people have left behind. Now fossils are things that are from living things. Like you think about paleontologists who study dinosaurs. Artifacts, that is what archaeologists really focus on. So archaeologists study artifacts, so that's what we were looking for, artifacts. Artifacts are anything that are made or used by man, okay? So it has to be something that was made or used by man. So when I was doing this dig, I found several, we were in the kitchen, this is the area that we were in, we found several broken bottles of the base of say a wine bottle, and we found knives and other kitchen utensils. Archaeology can tell us a lot about the people who lived there before, like what they left behind. One of the neat things, if you ever go to Monticello, where Thomas Jefferson's home is, they've actually done a lot of archaeology that is focused on plant life, and they've actually tried to grow all the same plants that Thomas Jefferson was trying to go as well. And so the seeds and decay actually helps us to know what type of plants were there when Thomas Jefferson was living at Monticello. Geography. So geo is earth, so we're the study of earth, and geography, which we have a whole unit on geography, but geography specifically studies not just the land but also the people, and a lot of that has to do with our interaction between people and the land. And remember, in this course, we have to have all of these in order to succeed and to understand. And for us, we call this a history course, but historians are really dependent upon all of the social sciences to understand things. And history is where we start to look at the past, basically since we've had written history, because prior to that we call it prehistory, the time before we have written history. But it's from the Greek word historia, which means basically to learn by or know by inquiry, by asking questions. So through study, we learn about the past. Political science, so not only do I teach World History 1 and 2, but I also teach Advanced Placement Government. So political science is one of my favorite things. I had to take 3 political science classes in order to get my teaching certificate. I took 2 geography classes, I took 1 anthropology, I took the archaeology class, 3 political science classes. And when I did the political science classes, we studied mostly U.S. government. Now, what I teach here at Liberty, I teach U.S. government, and then I also teach comparative government. We study 6 countries other than the U.S. We do Mexico, the U.K., China, Russia, Iran, and Nigeria. So learning about other countries actually helps us understand our own better. But political scientists, you think about that word politics, poly, okay, citizen, all of this is having to do with the concept of studying government. Psychology, so if we look at psyche, the root word there, that means mind, and so it's a study of the mind and how it works. And so one of the things you want to keep in mind, because we've got anthropology, which is the science of man, psychology is the study of the individual, of the mind, versus sociology, which is the study of a group. So psychology, I actually took young adult psychology to try, it's called adolescent psychology, to try to understand you guys and to understand how your minds work. And it was an interesting class. I've taken a couple of psychology classes. I took Intro to Psychology as well. That is a class that we offer here at Liberty High School. It's an AP class, and it is super fascinating. Like, why do we dream? Like, what about our sleep? And why do we think and do the things that we do? Is it nature versus nurture that makes us who we are? All those things are really interesting, and that's all part of psychology. Sociology, though, is more focused on a group. So I took a sociology class as well in college, and this is about how we function in society. At Liberty, we also teach sociology. It's a great class. I've taught it once before, and it's taught every other year and is usually open for juniors and seniors. But it's a really interesting class. Like, why do we act the way that we do in a group? How does a group change? Why do you act one way around your friends and one way around your parents and maybe a different way around your grandparents? What happens when a car accident happens in front of us? How do we respond? So many different things that is part of sociology, but it is that how we function in a group, okay? All right, so what does ology mean? Study of. Man, remember, is anthro. Government is poly. Political scientists. Artifacts, these are anything that are made or used by man. And then your mind is psyche. So you have a little quiz now on the 7 social sciences and some of the other geography terms that we were working on. Like, you might want to take a minute and review BC, BCE, CE, and AD before you take your quiz. That's my little hint for you. I would definitely go back and review all of those before I did my little quiz. The social science terms will be matching, but then you're going to have some fill in the blank for the questions that are about time. Good luck, Minutemen.